What's up guys, it's your boy Pav, and before we get started today, today's video is sponsored by Opera GX. Now, Opera GX is a special version of the Opera browser built specifically for gamers like you and me, and is filled with countless features that will make your browsing life easier. Features such as GX Control, the control panel that allows you to limit the CPU, RAM, and the network bandwidth you are willing to let the browser use, which helps enhance performance on your PC when gaming, perfect for when you want to keep a bunch of tabs open but you don't want it to hurt your gaming performance. And this happens to be a browser that has Twitch, Discord, and Messengers integrated into the browser for easy access, along with your favorite music streaming site right there for use whenever you want to change the song. And my personal favorite feature on this browser is no doubt GX Corner, a section on the browser which helps you stay up to date with free games, the best deals, the newest releases, and breaking gaming news for all platforms in one easily accessible place. Opera GX is also available on mobile as GX Mobile and can be connected to the desktop version no problem. If you're a gamer like me or just want a total complete browser with everything right there for you, it doesn't get better than Opera GX. So go click the link in the description down below and download Opera GX. It doesn't matter if it's for your desktop, your mobile, or your toaster, Opera has you covered with the best browsing experience you can find. Take control of your browser now and download Opera GX in the link down below. But now it's time for today's feature presentation. As wrestling fans, when we think about WrestleMania, we of course think about the legendary ones. The ones that had the moments where it seemed like time stood still. The ones we watched 100 times over as kids. But as life goes on and as more and more WrestleManias happen and more Manias sell out stadiums and break records, as WrestleMania somehow becomes bigger than ever, there's one WrestleMania that for some reason holds a special place in my heart. A show that wasn't even good, but as crazy as it sounds, WrestleMania 33 in my eyes was a special night. Yes, the WrestleMania that had Triple H doing rest holds for 45 minutes, and yes, the WrestleMania that had John Cena proposing to a girl that he wouldn't even end up marrying. And yes, the WrestleMania that had a main event that was more depressing than my grandma's funeral. And to understand this, let's go back to that warm spring night in Orlando, Florida. Let's go back to April 2nd, 2017, and let's go back to where I was in my life, because that plays a huge factor in why this night that for most people was boring was special to me. See, back in 2017, I was 18 years old and a freshman in college. It was around the time when Drake had just dropped More Life, and I was addicted to playing NBA 2K17 My Park with my boys, and most importantly, this was also the last time when I was still watching the WWE every single week. Now, the product wasn't perfect, far from it. I mean shit, Goldberg was the champion at 51 years old, but I still found myself tuned in every single week. But you gotta remember, this was back when Raw was still getting 3 million viewers for each episode. And even though during this time I knew the wrestling I was watching wasn't the best, it wasn't anything like the wrestling I grew up on, it was still something I look forward to every week. Because this was the first time I truly understood how wrestling became an escape for some people. Like I said, I was 18 years old and I had just become an adult. I was failing my intro to finance class, but at the same time I was working 30 hours a week flipping burgers and cleaning washrooms at a restaurant that you guys might know, Five Guys. I was out here hustling, I was out here grinding, I had just become an adult and had actual responsibilities for once, and I was finally no longer a kid. So yo, you bet your ass, after flipping burgers for 6 hours and just smelling like the most disgusting fryer oil you can imagine, of course I was excited to go home and just watch some wrestling and escape. And even though during this time the world was groaning and complaining and could care less for WrestleMania, you bet your ass I was excited as hell for WrestleMania 33. To me, no matter how weak the card looked on paper, how stupid Lesnar and Goldberg seemed, how annoyed I was that John Cena was wasting a WrestleMania match on a girl, it was still WrestleMania, it was still the biggest show of the year, it was still my escape. So with all of that, with where I was in my life and combining it with how weird and honestly just how batshit insane this show was, I will always love WrestleMania 33. To this day, and it honestly might be forever, I truly think that this is the most beautiful WrestleMania of all time. From the stage to the ring to the pyro that blasted all night to the attention to detail for everyone's entrance, especially the sperm under Randy Orton, it was really just a beautiful show. When I think of WrestleMania and what WrestleMania should look like and what WrestleMania should feel like in terms of the spectacle, in terms of the aura, it doesn't get any better than this. A warm night in Orlando, Florida, a roller coaster stage, lights and pyro plus a rowdy crowd. The vibes were just immaculate. And like I said, what I love about this night is how totally random and insane the entire night was. When we found out that Shane McMahon and AJ Styles were opening the show, 80% of us fans watching were like, alright, cool, whatever. But I'll never forget watching this match and just 5 minutes in just being like, wait, why are they tweaking so hard? AJ Styles and Shane opened the show and went off for absolutely no reason. Shane McMahon on this night for some reason thought it was 2001 again or some shit. The strikes, the submissions, just the straight up wrestling. You had ref bumps, you had Shane McMahon doing a shooting star press, cause why not? This match had no reason to be this good, and that was the story of the night. The spots they were pulling out were so clever, from the angle slams to the submissions, and especially the spot where Shane caught the 450 splash into the triangle, because apparently he's prime Anderson Silva. It didn't make any sense, but it was the perfect way to open this weird ass show. But okay, what else made this show so special? How about something that wasn't even advertised? Of course, I'm talking about the tag team ladder match for the tag team titles. This was a match that originally was just supposed to be 3 teams, but for weeks going into Mania, there were rumors going around that the Hardys were possibly coming back to the WWE. Yes, the Hardys. I mean the Hardy Boys. I mean Team Extreme. I mean Jeffrey. I mean Matthew. I mean the most beloved tag team in wrestling history. The Hardys had been gone for 7 years, and everybody knows how much the Hardys meant for a generation, and what better way to come back than a tag team ladder match at WrestleMania. But nah, it seemed like it was too good to be true, because you gotta remember, the Hardys were at Ring of Honor the night before doing their thing on the indie scene. So was there hope? Yes, but was it realistic? Not really. So when all 3 teams were in the ring and it seemed like the match was about to start, it is impossible to explain how much of a special moment it was when they actually came back. I swear to God, it was one of the loudest reactions I've ever heard watching wrestling live. People were legit jumping for joy as if Michael Jackson came back from the dead and performed Thriller. And honestly, close enough, because Jeff Hardy twerking on the stage is even better. After 7 long years, they were back. Seeing Jeff and Matt back on the big stage, back at WrestleMania, getting the ovation they deserved, we felt like kids again. It was all of our childhoods once again back at it. A team that meant so much for kids who grew up in the 2000s were once again on top of the world where they belonged, and Jeff Hardy doing a swanton bomb off a 20-foot ladder with 70,000 people watching was a surreal sight. After all the issues Jeff Hardy had, after all the falling out and everything, it was something we never thought we would see once again. And of course, the cherry on top was they won the titles one more time. Social media went nuts for this. I had friends who didn't even watch wrestling anymore messaging me, asking me for a link, asking me if it was true. The friends I did watch this with were jumping for joy. Honestly, what a time it was to be alive. What made WrestleMania 33 so special for me were moments like this. It was watching with my friends and just having fun, watching a team we grew up with back at it. It was seeing Shane and AJ tweak for no reason. It was just the good vibes of watching wrestling, the good vibes of watching WrestleMania. It was escaping real life and watching a show that felt like the biggest thing ever. It was watching the beautiful entrances and the pyro and even the matches that were average on this night. For me, my friends, and for a lot of people, they just hit differently. And those moments included seeing John Cena wrestle with his girlfriend and propose afterwards, and what at that point was one of the cutest things we had ever seen. Now looking back at it, we obviously have to pretend like this never happened, but if anything, moments like that make me love this show even more. It almost feels like this WrestleMania took place in an alternate universe. Cena proposed to Nikki, they don't even end up getting married. Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt had one of the hottest storylines going into WrestleMania. They have a world title match at WrestleMania, and it somehow ends up with them having worms being projected in the ring. As we all know, Randy Orton versus Bray Wyatt was a match that was so bad, genuinely so bad, it was good, if that makes any sense. High-key, one of the unintentional funniest matches you'll ever see in wrestling, and it happened in front of 70,000 people on the biggest show of the year. Don't forget, Triple H and Seth Rollins had a match that we thought had the potential to be a true banger. Instead, I don't think there's one person who didn't fall asleep while watching this. And it was funny because the 2 matches that we thought would be awesome on this night ended up being straight up horrible. Randy walked on sperm, Triple H put us to sleep, and then they were gonna follow those matches with the match that everyone actually thought would be even worse. I'm talking about Brock Lesnar versus Goldberg at WrestleMania Part 2. The 2 idiots who the last time they had a match at WrestleMania had one of the worst matches of all time. And now the show was in their hands once again. But then, for some reason on this night, on this weird ass night, These crackheads tore the house down in a way that nobody thought was possible. Brock Lesnar came out, Goldberg came out, and he was already tired by the time he got to the ring, and these monsters just went straight up mental. Yo, it really felt like it was SmackDown Here Comes the Pain had come to life, and both of them were given 5 finishers each on SmackDown difficulty, and the rest was history. After almost an hour of wrestling putting us to sleep, these two crackheads in 4 minutes and 45 seconds of pure mayhem made the crowd and everyone watching just go absolutely crazy. 10 suplexes, no selling whatsoever, 4 spears, a match so fast that Goldberg didn't even have a choice if he was going to be tired or not. They packed in so much stuff that watching it live, the 4 minutes felt like 20, and it was truly amazing because the crowd just really came alive and everyone was just marking out how insane this was. It was genuinely a video game match in real life. And then adding Brock Lesnar leapfrogging over the spear, that was just next level, and once that happened, boom, 5 stars, all-time classic. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the greatest wrestling match under 5 minutes in wrestling history. Was it all just spears and suplexes and F5s? Yes. Do I care? No, because it's an all-time classic. I don't care what anyone says. They have tried to replicate this match so many times anytime Brock Lesnar and Goldberg are out there, but they could never touch this ever again. I don't care what anyone says, this is an all-time classic. Who would have ever thought? And of course, to cap off this WrestleMania, to cap off one of the weirdest pay-per-views ever, it just had to end with Roman Reigns committing elder abuse on The Undertaker. Roman Reigns went into that WrestleMania ring and he just went in there and he abused the old man so bad that The Undertaker retired after the match even though he didn't even want to. It was only right that this WrestleMania had one of the hardest to watch main events ever. A broken down old man Undertaker trying to put on one last WrestleMania performance with his body failing him at every stop, and Roman Reigns just beating his ass while the crowd just sits there in silence. And it ended with old man Taker leaving his gloves, jacket, and hat in the ring and retiring, or so we thought. And the show ended with an ending that at the time was pretty emotional. We thought he was done. We thought The Undertaker was done. We thought it was truly an end of an era. We thought we had just seen the end of one of the greatest careers in wrestling history. So when the show ended and the pyro went off and it went off the air, it was such a weird feeling. We were sad seeing The Undertaker retire and get destroyed. We had 2 main events that bored us to death, but at the same time, the match that we thought would suck was amazing. The Hardys came back and Shane and AJ went crazy and added a proposal in there and added a crazy atmosphere that was pure magic. We were just left like, what the f was this WrestleMania? It was the weirdest yet the most fun night I ever had watching wrestling. And it's crazy because all these years later, the show just gets weirder and weirder, which honestly makes me love it even more because The Undertaker didn't retire. People cried for no reason, we got sad for no reason, and Cena and Nikki never even got married. And as stupid as this show was, as crazy as it was, as much as feels like a fever dream, it still felt like what a WrestleMania should feel like. And yeah, I know that my fondness for this show is largely due to where I was in my life. It was back before I had any true stress, before any bills and a career. This was when all I did was flip burgers part-time, go to university, hang out with friends, and watch WWE. I had just become an adult, but watching this WrestleMania on that night, it still made me feel like a kid. I don't know, man, I just love this weird ass WrestleMania. I know it's not good, I know it's not in the top 10 manias, I know it's not a classic, but it's just one of those shows. If you told me in 2017 that in 6 years I would be nostalgic about 2017 wrestling, I would have slapped you. But that's just how life works. Sometimes the most random, most average, most whatever shows or things, movies or whatever can be special for some people. And for me, with where I was in my life combined with how truly insane this show was, I can't help but have a warm fuzzy feeling in my stomach whenever I see or think of WrestleMania 33. And ladies and gentlemen, that is why I will always love WrestleMania 33, probably the weirdest WrestleMania of all time. What a time it was to be alive. In the comments down below, what's a WrestleMania or a pay-per-view that you know it's not good, you know it's not a classic, but it's something that for some reason will always hold a special place in your heart? I know you guys got some. Let me know down below. It's your boy Pav, aka Wrestling Gifts. I'm sorry for the slow uploads lately, but your boy is back, it's no problem, and I'll see you guys soon with the next one. But comment down below and let me know. I'll see you guys later. Take it easy.